Let's skip the pleasantries and go straight to the night my wife unplugged the Wi-Fi and accidentally exposed her entire secret life. It was 2:14 a.m. I know because I couldn't sleep again. I'd been scrolling through old drone footage on my laptop. Don't ask why, when the screen froze. No signal. Great. I walked downstairs in my socks, grumbling like an old man, and found her sitting at the kitchen island. Just sitting. Alone. In the dark. Her phone's flashlight was on, pointed into her coffee cup like she was searching for something at the bottom. I said, "Did the internet die?" She didn't even flinch. Just said, without looking up, "I need space from this marriage." No anger. No tears. Like she was reading a weather report. And for the first time in years, I didn't freeze. I didn't ask why. Or can we talk? I just said, "Pack fast. It starts tonight." That's when she laughed. Not nervously. Not sadly. Just like I told a joke she didn't think I had in me. And right there, under the awful kitchen lighting, in the middle of a dead Wi-Fi night, I knew this wasn't about space. This was about guilt. I just didn't know what kind. But I was about to find out. And it started with the one app she forgot to log out of. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. After Mirela dropped her line like she was ordering sushi, "I need space from this marriage," and I told her, "Pack fast. It starts tonight." Something inside me locked up. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, hearing every sound in the house like it was screaming. Zippers. Footsteps. Drawers. Then silence. She didn't leave. At 4:38 a.m., I walked downstairs and found her asleep on the couch. Her phone was in her hand, glowing dimly. Face ID had locked it. But for some reason, and I swear, I wasn't looking for anything, when I tapped it, a pop-up appeared. Session expired. Log back into secret text. Secret text. What even is that? My hands were sweating. I picked up her phone and placed it on the table gently, like it might explode. And then I did something I promised myself I'd never do in any relationship. I opened her laptop. No password. That was my first shock. The second? She was already logged into WhatsApp web. I didn't have to hack. Didn't have to snoop. The messages were there, glowing like a confession under a spotlight. The pinned chat was labeled M Airplane. I clicked. And suddenly, I wasn't a husband anymore. I was a fool standing in front of a digital wall of betrayal. Messages about how she couldn't take the quiet anymore. How I was too soft, too needy, too decent. Screenshots of our own texts. Voice notes. A photo of me from behind, cooking breakfast, captioned, "He still thinks this marriage is real." I swear my heart physically hurt. Like I could feel it swell, then crack like a windshield hit by a rock. And I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there, watching the person I thought I knew more intimately than anyone reduce me to a joke in some other guy's inbox. Then came the third shock. There were travel plans. A calendar invite. She was going to leave for Lisbon in 3 days. Not a work trip. A reset. Her word, not mine. She had her escape already booked. All while I was upstairs debating whether to bring her tea that morning. When she woke up a few hours later and saw me sitting at the table, laptop open, phone beside me, she froze. And for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Not guilt. Not regret. Fear. And that's when I calmly said, "Your space starts now. Get your things. I want you out by noon." She said nothing. Just nodded. But what happened after she left is where this story truly begins. Because you'd think it ends here. With heartbreak and silence. But no. What I found in the trash bin of her deleted messages turned this into a whole new level of betrayal. By the time she walked out with her suitcase, the house felt different. Not empty, just quieter in a way that wasn't peaceful, like the silence after a power outage. The kind where you don't trust it to last. I didn't follow her to the car. I didn't watch her drive off. I just stood in the hallway holding Milo's leash like I needed something to ground me. Even the dog looked confused. But I wasn't done. I knew I had to see it through. Her laptop was still open. Chrome was logged in. And there was one tab minimized. A tab she must have forgotten to close when she panicked this morning. My heart thudded as I clicked it. It was a Google Drive folder. Private. Shared with someone named N. Gray1987@gmail.com. I didn't recognize the name, but the folder title stopped me cold. The rewrite. Inside were documents. Labeled by months. Labeled like chapters. I opened one called October Draft. Final. It was a journal. Or maybe a manifesto. It started with a line I'll never forget. Marriage is only a prison if you hand over the keys. She'd been writing about me, about our life, for months, not as memories or therapy, but like I was a character she was slowly erasing from a story she wanted to rewrite. And worse, she wasn't writing it just for herself. She was sharing it. Every note, every paragraph, was followed by feedback in the margins. From N. Gray. Comments like, "This part's too sympathetic. Make him more passive." Highlight the guilt-free angle. Readers won't accept self-pity. Readers? There were readers? It hit me. She wasn't just planning to leave. She was planning to publish this. As what, a memoir? A blog? A cautionary tale about how she escaped a quiet man? My breath caught in my throat. She had rewritten me into a version of myself I didn't even recognize. Pathetic, clingy, emotionally useless. A placeholder. A warm body she tolerated while secretly crafting a story of empowerment and freedom. But then I saw something strange. One document, not in the folder, had been created at 3:41 a.m. after I'd gone upstairs. After she fell asleep on the couch. It was called, "If He Finds Out." The file was only 1 page long. A single paragraph. If he finds out before Lisbon, everything falls apart. The backup plan is Sean. But if Sean won't take me in, I'll tell him I was scared. That I made a mistake. That I want to fix us. I'll use the tears. That always worked. I read that line 3 times before I realized my hands were shaking. So that was her real plan. Plan A, escape. Plan B, lie. And me? I was just the contingency. I don't know how long I sat there. But eventually, I stood up, opened my own laptop, and started writing this. Not because I wanted revenge. Not because I wanted sympathy. But because I finally understood something. She needed space? Good. Now I need clarity. And I'm going to get it, no matter what I find next. The thing about Betrayal is that it doesn't just rewrite your past. It infects it. Every memory I had with her started to mutate. The trip to Montauk, where she said she felt closer to herself. I used to think that was a beautiful moment. Now I wonder if she was texting Sean behind my back while I bought her that seashell bracelet she pretended to love. But I couldn't afford to spiral. I wanted answers. And I was done sitting still. So I called Sean. Not directly. I used a work phone and blocked my number. The man picked up on the second ring like he was expecting a delivery. I didn't say anything at first. Just listened. He said, "Mirela," twice. Then I spoke. "She won't be coming to Lisbon." Silence. Then who is this? I told him. My name. My relation to her. My voice shaking. Not from fear, but from this horrible, sick realization that I was now introducing myself to the man who'd been living inside my marriage, uninvited, for God knows how long. He hung up. No denial. No apology. No, what are you talking about? Just, click. I sat there, feeling a calm that didn't feel real. Like I'd just amputated something infected and now my body didn't know what to do with the missing piece. But then something happened I wasn't expecting. She came back. 3 hours later. She walked through the door like she forgot something. No suitcase. No tears. Just her keys in her hand, and that same guarded face she always wore when she was calculating the next sentence. I didn't speak. I didn't even move. She looked at me and said, "We need to talk." I just nodded toward the table where I had printed out the paragraph from her file. If he finds out before Lisbon, everything falls apart. Her face changed. Not shocked. Not even guilty. Defensive. "You weren't supposed to see that," she said. That's what she led with. Not "I'm sorry." Not "let me explain." Just that. And I swear, in that moment, something inside me died. But I stayed calm. I said, "This is your space. The house is in my name. You can stay in the guest room for 48 hours. After that, you're gone." And here's the part that still haunts me. She didn't beg. She didn't cry. She didn't even raise her voice. She just said, "Fine." But I could see the calculation behind her eyes. Wheels turning, new stories forming, escape routes being charted. She wasn't going to fight for me. She was going to manage me. So I made a plan of my own. I called a lawyer. Because what I found next, in her cloud backup, wasn't just betrayal. It was a secret account, and transactions that couldn't be explained away. I'd love to tell you that I found strength in the days that followed, that I hit the gym, drank green smoothies, and moved on with my life, like some smug breakup guru. But that's not what happened. What actually happened was this. I sat in my car at 2 a.m., eating gas station pretzels and rereading the same paragraph from her Google Doc while Milo slept in the passenger seat. I didn't want closure. I wanted proof. Something solid. Something indisputable. And that's when I remembered the second backup email she had once used to reset an Instagram password. One she claimed was just for spam. I tried it. Same password. Same cloud provider. And inside it, a sync notes app with 4 entries. One was a grocery list. One was a pack list for Lisbon. One was titled Things to Say If It All Blows Up. But the last one, the one that made my vision blur, was simply called Bank. She had opened a new account. Digital only. Private statements. New card sent to her work address. It had over $27,000 in it. Spread over 6 months. I looked at the transactions. Small deposits, regular intervals. Not transfers from our joint account. Not even payroll from her job. These were cash drops. And each one came 2 or 3 days after she had dinner with clients. Or had that work retreat. Or needed a night alone. My stomach turned. It wasn't the money that hit me the hardest. It was the coordination. The long game. The meticulous planning behind every smile. Every cold shoulder. I'm just tired tonight. I took screenshots of everything. Forwarded it all to my personal email. Then I drove to the office. Slept in the parking lot until morning. And at 9:01 a.m., I walked into the lawyer's office I'd called 2 days before. The consultation was quiet. Efficient. Cold in a way I found comforting. I didn't need empathy. I needed protection. They confirmed what I feared. If the money had come from outside sources and wasn't reported jointly, it could be considered marital concealment. If I played it right, I could stop her from touching another cent of our shared assets. But here's the real twist. As I was leaving the lawyer's office, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It read, "She told me you hit her. That's why she's staying with me." I froze. I don't hit anyone. I barely raised my voice. I'm the guy who says sorry when someone steps on my foot. But she was rewriting the story, again. This time, not to a stranger, but to someone real. Someone willing to shelter her. Someone new. Or worse, someone I already knew. I needed to find out who that number belonged to. And fast. Because it wasn't just my heart or my house at stake anymore. Now it was my reputation. I should have felt broken. Shattered. I should have been in some emotional tailspin, screaming at the sky or curled up on the floor of my shower. But I wasn't. I was furious. The kind of quiet fury that doesn't shake or stutter, the kind that sharpens everything around you. I didn't even flinch when I read the message again. She told me you hit her. The lie wasn't just vile. It was calculated. She was testing how far she could push fiction before it replaced truth. But what she didn't expect was that I'd trace the number. I have a friend named Elias. He works in cybersecurity, not officially, but let's just say he's the reason our old high school principal never figured out who kept rerouting the school's phone system to a pizza place. I sent him the number. 10 minutes later, he replied with a name. Nathan Gray. It took me a second. Then I remembered. Gray1987@gmail.com. The guy commenting on her rewrite files. The one telling her to make me more pathetic, less sympathetic. That wasn't a boyfriend. That was a co-author. She wasn't planning a breakup. She was building a character arc. One where I was the controlling husband who stifled her growth. The villain in the hero's journey she wanted to sell to agents and editors. She wasn't running from me. She was framing me. And now I had the proof. I called her. For the first time since she'd left. She answered, hesitant. "I need you to come pick up a package," I said flatly. "What package?" "I found the flash drive. The one with your first drafts. And the voice memos." There was silence. She thought I was bluffing. But she also knew I might not be. The thing about people who lie for a living is they lose track of what's real and what's fabrication. I was banking on that. She showed up 40 minutes later. She didn't come alone. Nathan was with her. Mid-30s, confident in that smug writer's retreat kind of way, wearing a scarf even though it wasn't cold. He looked around my porch like he was slumming it, like this was some live-action research trip. I handed her a sealed envelope. No flash drive. Just a printed copy of the Notes app file. The one where she listed how she'd fake emotion if the Lisbon plan failed. She read the first line and paled. Nathan asked what it was. She didn't answer. She just shook her head, her throat clicking like she was trying to swallow a rock. I didn't say a word. I turned around, walked back into the house, locked the door. That night, I got another message. This time from her. Not an apology. Just, "You're ruining everything. I never wanted it to be like this. I didn't respond. Because I finally understood. It had always been like this. I just hadn't seen the script. The lie wasn't just written. It was rehearsed. That's what I realized when I found the voice recordings. I wasn't looking for them. I was clearing out my old Bluetooth folder on my desktop when I noticed an auto-sync from 2 weeks ago, back when she had borrowed my laptop to submit invoices. I opened it out of habit, expecting old photos or work PDFs. Instead, I found 5 audio files, all labeled by date. No context. The first one opened with her voice, soft, breathy, performative. She was practicing. I stayed because I didn't want to be homeless. He isolated me, controlled me. I wasn't allowed to see my friends. Pause. Then she said, "No, that sounds too dramatic. Try again." I sat there, frozen. She'd recorded herself rehearsing a future where I was the villain. She didn't just write the story. She was preparing to perform it. Another file started with fake sobbing. Then a calm voice, Nathan's voice, saying, "Try that again. But slower. Let the pause land after the word trapped." I felt sick. I wasn't part of her life anymore. I was part of her project. Her genre. Her pitch. And she hadn't just rewritten me for herself. She was prepping for podcast interviews, book readings, TED Talks. She was building a narrative where my kindness became control, my quiet became cruelty, and my confusion became abuse. And I knew. Then, if I didn't act, I would become the thing she was rehearsing. So I sent everything to my lawyer. The audio, the documents, the hidden account, the co-authored drafts. I didn't want revenge. I wanted protection. Because she was escalating, trying to erase me in the court of public opinion before I even realized I was on trial. That night, she messaged me again. This time, it wasn't guilt. It was threat. "If you release anything, I'll tell them you hit me. I'll say I have proof. And they'll believe me because I'm the one crying on camera, not you." And that broke something in me. Because she wasn't bluffing anymore. She was declaring war. So I messaged back a single sentence. "You've rehearsed this lie so many times, you've forgotten how truth sounds." Then I made a decision I'd been avoiding. I wasn't going to fight her story. I was going to publish mine first. 3 days after I sent her that message, the one where I told her she couldn't recognize truth anymore, I uploaded my own story. Not out of spite, not to destroy her, just to reclaim myself. I stripped everything down, removed the rage, left in only the facts, the documents, the bank trail, the rehearsal files, and yes, the audio clips where she practiced lying about who I was. I didn't dramatize it. I didn't embellish. I let her words speak for themselves. It went viral in under 48 hours. Not because I was loud, but because I was honest. Because in a world full of performance, people can still recognize sincerity when they hear it. I never used her name. I never showed her face. I didn't have to, but it changed everything. My job, which I'd been quietly fading from, suddenly backed me harder than I expected. HR reached out, not to fire me, but to support me. Friends I hadn't heard from in years called me, some even crying, telling me they'd believed her story for a while, until they heard mine. She, on the other hand, went silent. The book deal she was teasing? Dropped. The co-author? Disavowed her in a tweet, claiming creative divergence. And her Lisbon reset? Never happened. Because when you build your future on fiction, the collapse is inevitable. But here's the part one didn't expect. A week after I went public, I got a letter. Real paper. Handwritten. No return address. Inside it said, "You didn't deserve any of this. And the fact that you never fought dirty proves exactly why you're still standing." Anonymous. I don't know who sent it. Maybe a stranger. Maybe someone close to her who finally saw the truth. But it didn't matter. Because it reminded me, survival isn't about being the loudest or the most perfect. Sometimes it's just about not becoming what hurt you. I've since started writing again. Not for revenge. Just to tell real stories. Mine and others like it. Because not every ending is romantic. But that doesn't mean it can't be good. So yeah, that's it. That's my story.